Alright, so in this chapter we'll study the module 4, exploring the Siebel architecture, and the goal is to understand how the various clients and the Siebel servers and all those things interact. Okay, this is a kind of a most technical chapter towards Siebel server administration. Okay, um, what happens is in Siebel there are various roles. I think I told you. Just within development there are three types of roles. One is developer or programmer or configurator. Then there is a server admin person. Then there is a data admin person. These three are all technical roles within Siebel. Okay? Developer, programmer or configurator, what he does is he does configuration. Whereas server admin, he manages the servers. Let's say Siebel has to be installed, he will install. Siebel has Siebel load ज़्यादा होगा. Siebel has a little bit more load than it can bear. Then it is server administrator's responsibility to make sure that anything that is related to networking issues, Siebel plus networking issue, Siebel related to the Oracle database issue, right? So all these kind of issues are resolved by server administrators. They are in charge of installing Siebel, administering Siebel. You will get to know about administering Siebel quite after some time only, but it really boils down to installing Siebel. Installing Siebel is not easy. There are a lot of stuff. I think you know that we were trying to install Siebel for 3 days here. Maybe was trying, and we have still not installed it successfully. It's very complicated. So what you install on your laptops is Siebel client, which is easy. Installing Siebel servers on the server side is very difficult. Okay, server administrators do that. Data administrators, many a time the data goes wrong and they have to correct it. Sometimes it is the users itself. Users, one of the guys who's little technical among the users, we give this work to them. Why don't you do this work? Sometimes data administration is done by one of the technical team, like the development team, right? IT team versus the actual user team. So sometimes we give it to the user team, sometimes we give it to the IT team. But server administration and development work is always done by IT team. Okay? So this will be Siebel web architecture is basically you are trying to make a foray into Siebel server administration. You won't be learning a whole lot about server administration because your goal is not to become a Siebel server administrator. The goal is to understand the basics so that when you are talking to your customers, you can deliver their goods very well. You should be able to analyze in terms of Siebel server administration also a little bit so that your business processes can be executed. You guys are being trained for becoming a business analyst or a functional analyst. Okay? So the question is, what are the technical roles in Siebel? Developer, programmer, and server administration. These are technical roles in Siebel. Data administration is a kind of a can be technical, can be non-technical. Project manager decides whether it should be done by the IT team or by the user team, one of the users. But the users who usually takes this task, he has to be a little bit technical so that he doesn't mess the data. Data administration is usually it will be a technical person. If you ask me, 80% of the times they will not give it to users. The users will mess up the data. Data administration, name suggests a lot of stuff about data, but data administrator does something very simple about data. Let's say some account name is entered wrongly by somebody. Have you ever gone to Kroger and you say that when you're doing a self checkout, then let's say like yesterday when we were buying something from Kroger, we bought something twice, same thing twice. So we had to ask somebody to come and override it. Is it right? She came and she nullified one of the things. Do you think I should be allowed to nullify the this thing?
No. There are specific people that store.
Exactly. Why shouldn't I be allowed to nullify this thing? Because then I will be basically playing with the things.
Yeah.
Right? That is data administration. Was she touching the tables and columns? No. But was she touching the data line item? And did she have more privileges to delete it or not delete it than I did? Yes.
Yeah.
So data administration is all about this thing.
Yeah, the password. You don't have the password.
Yeah, in the GUI only, not in the backend. Making sense to you? Shall I say it doesn't mean in the SAP, or shall I say it doesn't mean it means no No privilege. We are not talking about SAP, or we are not talking about Oracle. If I say no privileges in the backend, correct?
No.
Correct. Right. So it all means whether you can delete that record or not. Pretty much. Whether you can play with the data, how much playing capacity is allowed to you. This administration is called as data administration. Somebody enters the wrong number. Hey, I cannot change the number now. Okay. She'll call the data administrator. So within Kroger also sometimes one manager has more power than the lady on the checkout. So lady on the checkout is also a user. Kroger manager is also a user. In this case, this is called as override functionality. So in the manual override, you see that a lot of data administration is involved, and the data administration rights are with the manager. This is how I will say that situation. So you have to understand the thing that you have seen in the real life. That data, entering data, deleting data. Who can enter data? Does user has the right to enter data? Yes. Can she modify it? No. Right? By the way, shopping cart, so the checkout ladies, they can delete the things by rescanning, and they can delete the things. So they can do certain things. But let's say they want to do the price adjustments. So price adjustments cannot be done by the checkout lady. That has to be done by the manager.
Because they will be pocketing money if they do that.
Exactly. Right? So data administration is at various levels. If you see, one is whether you can delete what you have already entered. Second is whether you can adjust the price. So these are the data administration things. When you are designing the system, you'll be designing it in a way that data administration is done effectively and only by those people who are supposed to do the things that way, not by others. Deletion should not be allowed with this. So you should be managing all that. In Siebel, data administration really is a separate screen where you can pretty much do whatever you want. Each and every field is editable. And it's kind of super manager will be handling that. So that's why sometimes we will give to a super manager, like in Kroger. Do you think they should call their IT team to do this work? No. It makes more sense to give this power to manager, right? So we have to see. But in Siebel, data administration is very powerful. It is really powerful. So we do give this data administration thing to only we keep it only with the IT team. We never give it to them. Regarding that manual override and the power that should be given to managers, there are other things we'll be discussing it down the line. Data administration means all the power. You can play with the data, but only play with the data. It doesn't mean go in the back end or just within GUI also you can play or not play. Right? No, it doesn't mean going to the table column. It just means within the GUI you can play or not play. For example, I gave you an example. Manager can play. I cannot play. Right? So that is data administration. Okay. That is I would say in case of Siebel, it's a semi-technical job, and only usually IT team will do. There are some other administrations. We call it application administration. That is also done by technical people. But then there are some other small administration works like account administration. So she will be having the access to accounts, the manager, and she can modify the account. If user enters it wrongly, the manager can come and enters it right. That kind of power we give to users that. Okay. So we see this is how the system should work, right? Anyway, everybody should not be having all the power, and it shouldn't be like this guy doesn't have any power. There are various stages, there are various levels of power, and we as a business analyst design the system so as to implement these various levels of power. Is it right? So next time when you are at Kroger, make sure, so your job is to design the systems for keeping these things in mind. So next time when you're at Kroger, you'll make sure that the user cannot change the prices, but he can delete the records, line items from the order. He can clean the whole order. He can delete the whole order, but he cannot change the price of the item. He cannot do the price adjustments to the total also. He cannot apply coupons by himself. He can only apply coupons provided by the customers. Things like that. You'll be making provisions for that. That is your job. You are a business analyst. You'll be making the system in a way. So you have to first identify various levels of power that have to be given. Then you have to make your systems like that, how to give those powers to people. Is it right? Why are we studying this thing otherwise? I just came out of the discussion. It's all about data administration. I just talked. Anyway, we'll be getting a little bit into server administration. Down the line, you'll be getting a little bit into development also. You will not be keeping your hands away from development completely. You'll be getting into a little bit of server administration also. You'll be getting a little bit of data administration also, into application administration also. Okay. So I increase the rows to 4. Okay. Siebel Web Architecture Overview. At a high level, the Siebel architecture consists of a relational database and file system that store business data. Okay. Right. Siebel data is stored in these systems. So the data, have you ever seen, whenever I make a picture, I make like this box, this box, this box. Right? This is the right picture. I wish I was as good as this guy. And I would have made more scientific pictures of this. But this is the best I can do. The pictures that I draw, those ugly pictures. This is the way. Whenever I make that, always remember I'm making this. Okay, now you guys, it's up to you guys to make that connection. Okay? This is the database. Called the database server. Siebel file system. This is the file system. Forget Siebel file system for a time. This is the Siebel server. Right? This is a web server. And these are the clients. What is the clients? Like Mr. Azaz was talking about, he has clients. Is it the clients that's what it means? In general, unke clients, they were talking about some clients. I have some clients whom I'm gonna send you guys to. Are those the clients we're talking about here? No, right?
Client related to the server.
Exactly. These clients are actual software programs which are installed. So there is a software installed on your laptop, Siebel software installed on your laptop. That's a client. Yahoo Messenger. You have installed Yahoo Messenger on your laptop. That's a client. Who's the server in that case? Yahoo's the server. Is it right? Right. Right. Hotmail.com. You're accessing Hotmail.com through Internet browser, Internet Explorer. So the client is that Internet Explorer and your interaction. Server is the Hotmail server. Okay. So it is a software. But for our purposes, this is how we depict this. I make this thing too. You're sitting on your computer, I make like this usually. I make simple things like this. Whatever. I make like this. You're sitting on your computer. Right? Right? This is how I say it. But basically what I'm saying is this is a client software installed there, which is what is interacting. Just try to give you a more realistic, kind of more internalizable picture. But what I really mean is there is a software which is interacting with the Siebel server. Here also, we have these various client softwares which have different properties. We are going to study those properties and try to understand what client means. And when we depict those with pictures, there are certain important points of different clients. We'll try to understand those different points of the clients. Okay. Okay. This is your database server. This is where all your data is stored. Where are the tables and columns stored? Here. At this database server, what you'll be using dash for this. Can you please fill in the blank office? You'll be using to make this database Oracle or SQL Server. Can you tell me any other RDBMS, John? DB2. Okay. Okay. Please write it. Oracle SQL Server DB2. Okay. Then Siebel supports these three only. So these will, in this case, in case of Siebel, these will be the only ones. There are other ones which Siebel does not support, like Access. Okay. Like I think Sybase is not supported by Siebel. Sybase used to be an RDBMS. Sybase. And there are so many other DBMSs in mainframe world which Siebel does not support. Siebel supports only Oracle, DB2, and SQL Server. Okay. Siebel servers. Okay. This is a program installed on the server machine. I think we discussed about that. Server machine is what I really mean. But then on server machine there is a program. You can install that program on this little laptop also. But it won't make much sense. You're putting an elephant on a really chair made of nothing, so it will be useless, right? So similarly, you'll be having a great server machine here, which will be having a big configuration. Might be spending 50 grand for that machine. Then installing the server program on that. Siebel server is the one where all the business logic gets executed. These business components, that logic layer that we're talking about every day, that gets executed here. The presentation layer is on these. The presentation gets done on these. Okay? Web server basically allows Siebel to interact through the web. Siebel is after you Siebel, it runs on Internet Explorer, right? Right. So that means Siebel basically can run through the internet also. Is it running through the internet? If you disconnect the internet, will it run? It will run.
Yeah.
It will still run. That tells me that Siebel, but in case of real world, Siebel can run over the internet also. You will sit here like hotmail.com, you'll put like the company's name, dell.com/Siebel, Siebel website will come. You put login name, you'll be in the same Siebel screen. That can happen. Dell may not do it for security reasons, but they can do it. There are some companies which do it. For example, Cisco does. Cisco does have a web place where you can go and log in. You can see that login screen. In fact, Siebel has a login screen. You can go to Siebel's login screen and try to do that. So that is over the web. So when something is over the web, it has to go through the web server. It's in every software. You make a website which you want to host, basically you have to deploy the web server in between. It will be capturing all the requests from the web and sending it to your main application. Okay? So these are the various lines. The important point to be noted here is there is a database here and there is a database here. These are the database. Other important thing that you can capture, which will be coming in the later discussions, this is the handheld PC. This is a cell phone. This is a desktop. This is a laptop. Okay. He's trying to say that when the laptop has its own database, local database here. This has its own local database here. These do not have a local database. Let's go to this. I'll ask you a small riddle. Let's see whether you answer it or not. Let's say you have some field sales agent. Do you think they'll be having the access to the internet whole day? They'll be going to various sites and asking for orders or something. Do you think they'll be having the access to the internet whole day? No. Remember that lady came to sell us the coupons for Papa John's? Do you think she'll be having access to the internet whole day? No. But let's say she want to make a record that she actually delivered to A22 Airwell Circle the coupons, right? So that the company can know. So let's say they're using a Alexa. Tell me one thing. They'll enter the data. Where will it go? They are not connected to the internet, right? So they cannot connect to the company's database. What will they do? Store it in the local place, in the laptop itself. And what should happen? In the evening, they should go home and synchronize it with the main database. Right? They'll synchronize it with the database. That's how you do sometimes, right? Even my emails are like that. Right? Right? I keep storing the emails. I can write all the emails, then in the evening I can connect to the internet, will all go. Would you like it? So many places this thing is used, local database. It will store it locally. When you go home and synchronize, it will get all the transactions will be written to the main server, to the main database. Okay. In this case, internet connectivity is required. He is trying to say that I am supporting two ways of accessing data. One is through internet connection all the time. One is without internet connection. That's what he's trying to say by these two boxes here. Okay.
Cell phone and laptop.
These two boxes. Okay. Cell phone and no. PDA. Cell phone is this one. This is PDA. कभी हमने use नहीं किया. इसको pocket PC बोलते हैं. आजकल there are some Palm, but Palm has a Palm OS. There are some Windows OS based like HP Jornada, Dell Exim आता है. That is Windows. उस पे Windows install होता है. So those are the ones we call as PD. We call it pocket PCs or something like that. So it's a kind of a pocket PC or a handheld device where it should have operating system on it. That to Windows operating system. Then only it can run Siebel. But yes, it can. And then Siebel will be installed here, and there will be a database, local database that will be created by Siebel installation procedure, so that when person enters the data in Siebel, it will get stored here. Then in the evening he will, right? Here also this is
that those two, cell phone and desktop, they don't have.
You're asking me, they do not have, and these guys have. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because there are two types of things in the world. One is, I should be able to do this stuff asynchronously. I should not be on the internet, but I'm ready to accept a slow speed. So you go to him and say, if you don't have the internet at all times, you'll be working at a slower speed, but I can give you the provision. Other thing is, if connected all the time, when a person is connected all the time, he's always on a good connection, right? Right? So you can give him more functionality, right? So Siebel gives you two types of clients: one with less functionality,
One with more.
one with more. But with more, the limitation is that it has to be always connected. These are not always connected. Okay? So laptops, he's just trying to say field salespeople. It's not, doesn't mean in the office you cannot have a laptop. It simply means there are two types of clients. It is good for the people who are on the field. And field people, we install a client on their laptop which will have a local database. So when they enter transactions, where do they go? Do they come here directly, John?
No.
They come here. Then in the evening, he
You can synchronize it.
exactly. It does not come to database. It comes to the local database. So your thing is servers that manage a business unit and provide batch and interactive services for clients, right? Provide batch. What do you mean by batch service?
Couple things at a time.
Perfect. Interactive. What do you mean by interactive with reference to the same thing that you said? What do you mean by interactive?
Same.
Exactly. In this case, he will enter everything. In the night, it will be run as a batch and go as a batch to this guy, right? Whereas in this case, just as he enters, the data will go here,
Straight.
right? Right. And then data, whatever result is, if you makes a query, the result will come out and go right away. By the way, if the internet is not working somehow for some reason, then what will happen? You cannot enter. You cannot enter data. Siebel will not open. Right? Just like Hotmail code. If Hotmail server is down, can you do anything? No. Can you store Hotmail locally? No. Alright? Same thing. It just says cannot find the server. Same thing will happen. Exactly same thing will happen here. Cannot find the server if internet is down. Because it requires internet. Whereas if this internet is down here, then these dotted lines, this is internet. We're trying to say that he's synchronizing in the evening, through a dotted line. It is sometimes there, sometimes not there. That's what he's trying to depict. Then what will happen?
Still it will have data.
He will still have it. Unless and until his laptop crashes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. This is the depth that I want you to do. There is really nothing more in this diagram that you can do.
So if it's going, that's interactive.
Yeah, it is going like every time you enter some data, it gets stored right away. Then if you make a query, it comes back right away. This is all interactive.
And
Batch and interactive or batch and real time, all these are generic things in software. And every concept, in every kind of thing it is used. Here it is used in a very light manner. In integration, it's used in a very heavy manner. We'll use it like that, like this, okay? Here it is very simple. See, this interaction between this and this is a very simple example of interactions. I don't call it. But in case of integration, batch and real time are very important words. And we'll cover that, okay?
so batch mean as a whole.
No. As a whole, yes.
As a whole, but not the whole thing. We go batch by batch, right?
The whole thing is that there are 25 whole things.
Yeah.
And you enter all these 25 whole things
Yeah,
once,
but-
then they go together as a batch.
Okay.
Yeah. You're saying one thing is broken into 25 things. No. There are 25 things. You enter one account, two account, three account.
It goes in that.
It goes in the all 25
All
things
that.
go in that. But at a time, when we're talking, there is one whole thing, like one whole order. It's not like half of the order will go, and the rest of the half will go. This is one. Okay? Okay? Did you guys notice that the Siebel client is a browser-based application? Just as you browse Siebel, just as you browse Hotmail.com, that's how you browse Siebel. Plugins for industry-standard web servers. The way it works is, in the web server like Apache or these are few webs, IIS, Internet Information Server by Microsoft. Siebel gives a plugin for that. So when browser के पास request Cisco website पे request आएगी, what Cisco will do is that it will be captured in the web server. Web server will pass it on to the Siebel. Web server will come to know it is for the Siebel part. SAP के लिए भी यही आएगी. It will come to know it is for the SAP part. So there will be 2-3 services running in between that web server, and he will know who this request is for. Remember, client to server ko we always model the client to server in the form of request and response. So that's what I'm saying. What does a request means? Request for data, or request for this thing, or a query. Whenever you are entering something, or a request for entering the data. So it will come as a request. This request will be given to web server. Web server will basically pass it on to one of the plugins. In this case, to Siebel plugin. Siebel will send it to gateway. From gateway, it will come to the Siebel server. Siebel server will go to the database or the Siebel file system. Just let me tell you what Siebel file system. Siebel file system stores files. In case of Siebel, you can store attachments. Whenever you store attachments, only attachments and documents, it will come here. Data, all data comes here.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is the main thing where all data resides. This is where all the attachments reside. Did you go to Siebel and did you try to attach any file or something? Did you try to? No? So you are in the opportunity attachment. You click here, click new record. You can attach any file you like. Tell me which file you want me to attach here. Nice. Saved. Attachment is just as you attach files in Hotmail, right? Similarly, I attached file to this opportunity record. Now everybody who has the access to this attachment view, opportunity attachment view, will have the access to that. Simple. Okay. So anybody who can see this opportunity attachment, he can come here and you can say click this. You can see it. Okay. Just to let you know, these various fields are stored in the database. The actual file is stored in the attachment. So the question is, what is the differentiation? These fields explain the file or tell you about the file. This is about the file. This is not the file. When was it last modified? Is not the file content. Is it the file content? No. It is about the file. Things about the file are stored in database. Like the name is about the file. It is not inside. Inside nahi hai na? It's about the file. What is the size of the file? It's about the file. Information about the file. Information about the file is stored in database, and information actual file is stored in the file system. Okay. And anyway, because we have to make a link between opportunity and attachment also. So some entry has to go in the database also, because opportunity is in the database. Anyway, big deal. If you don't understand, that's fine. Run in a variety of environments, web browsers with WML devices and PDF. What are WML devices? कभी आपने कोई cell phone लिया? Web enabled cell phones आते हैं ना? Web enabled cell phones क्या होते हैं? What are they? What are web enabled cell phones? Wireless access protocol enabled cell phones. You can browse over those. तो अगर आप browse कर सकते हो तो इसको web enabled है. Right?
Yeah.
Right? किसी ज़माने में नहीं आते तो बड़ा famous word था. अरे मेरा 7000 का web enabled है. तुम्हारा कितने का 2000 रुपये का तुम्हारा वेब इनेबल नहीं होगा, राइट? अब सारी वेब इनेबल होते हैं, 2000 वाला भी होता है, 1000 वाला भी होता है. So nobody cares. Every cell phone has Bluetooth. So nobody cares now. तो किसी ज़माने में Bluetooth होना, remember that? So does not your laptop has Bluetooth? आज भी लैपटॉप में Bluetooth नहीं होता बीमार. People ask each other, Bluetooth है? Bluetooth है? Bluetooth है? Do you have a Bluetooth? By the way? Actually do. That's fine. ठीक है. So WML devices, wireless markup language. I think full form है. तो WML डिवाइसेस होती हैं. क्या होता है कि जो हॉटमेल है ना, ये इंटरनेट ब्राउजर के लिए एक अलग बनाता है पेज, WML के लिए हिसाब से सेल फोन के ऊपर अलग बनाता है. कैन दे अफोर्ड टू शो द सेम पेज ऑन?
No, small.
Screen small, they said, oh yes, exactly, the small screen is small, that is the main reason. Speed is different, interactivity is different, right? When you make small thing, have you ever tried to browse the net over a cell phone? You should do it. You must do it once. It will cost you a little bit. Just do it once. Just do it once. For every mail, for every line of the mail, you have to click more. It goes after 2 seconds. It will come back and shows the next line of that email. You cannot see the whole list of emails. Forget that. Just for every email. Web browsers, WM devices, and PDS. Windows CE and CAR. PDS. These are not our usual $50 PDS. These are some expensive ones, which are operating system based, and that too Windows. वो Palm के लिए भी चलता है. I didn't know this. So Palm, yes, Palm Pilot will be चल सकता है. Okay. Web browsers. Only Internet Explorer is what they support. Remember the other day Netscape Navigator was starting and Siebel was not starting. Siebel doesn't support that. Obviously Siebel doesn't support Mozilla and all those third-class browsers. Two modes of interaction. Standard mode, high interactivity mode. We know that. What is it? Okay, you said in case of standard mode, the internet connection is not fast. Okay, and where the customer works. So these are the properties of the customer, that he is sitting on an internet connection which is not fast. How does the client change? Can you tell me what are the salient features of standard mode that help you, face that situation properly? What is the property of the client? You didn't say. You said the problem of the customer. The property क्या होती है? What is the property? How does it help you in doing that? Thing is, you will remove the unnecessary things. You will only give the things which are pertaining to that. Anything else?
If
Synchronize.
it was
Okay. So what happens is, in case of standard, see, your information goes, let's say, about the same order. About the same order. It's not about 25 orders and 2 orders at a time. We are talking about one order, same order. The information about the same order is collected in various page refreshes, step by step, in various pages, not in one single page. For example, when you go to Amazon.com or Dell.com, in first one you just select the product. Then it goes, then comes back. The last name, first name, then new page comes where you put only a last name, first name. Then third page goes. Then it goes. This information on third page comes. In the third page you enter the credit card number and address, billing address. Then if this one goes, then it comes the shipping address page. So this first one is the product page. Okay. Then the second one is the billing page. Third one is the shipping page. Fourth one is the confirmation page or something like that. Whereas in case of high interactivity, all this information will be on one single page, and you enter everything and then click submit once. This is the difference. You enter everything right there. Okay, then you click submit once. Okay, so a lot of code is written behind this high interactivity. Very less code is written behind each and every page of standard interactivity. Very less code is written behind each and every page means each and every page will be loaded faster. It can run on a small connection, right? But it will be time consuming. So it is only for those customers who are sitting on small connection. You don't want to give it to everybody. If the people might be sitting on high connection, good connection, like 500 kbps or something like that, then you might want to give them the high interactivity functionality so that they can submit all the information in one go. Not many people like to fill all this information in multiple pages. For example, Dell.com. I hate to go to their website today. They have approximately 50 page refreshes today, and I hate that. Previously it used to be 4, and I always thought the next time they'll give only 1 page. They're stupid. They made it 50 pages now. It is bad. Not all the customers are using dial-up. I am not using dial-up. I want the whole list once. That is, check these 2 things, click submit, gone. It takes a lot of time to configure the laptop right now. But Dell.com, fortunately, has given you a provision to switch between the list view and this 50 page refresh view. I don't know what name do they have for that, right? In case of Siebel, it is not possible to switch. Okay, right? So in case of Siebel, if you implement your application on the standard interactivity client, then you made it for this, keeping the slower customers in mind. Even the fast customers cannot get the high interactivity client, which they might like. Whereas if you have implemented the software, the whole design in high interactivity mode, and you have rolled it out to users, then even if they are on a slower connection, they may not be able to use Siebel. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so when you are gathering the requirements, there are 2 types of people, I would say, from this perspective. External users like customers, they may be sitting on 2 kbps connections for all you care. For all matters, they're really sitting on some very small little connections. People in India are really sitting on 10 kbps connections right now. Whereas users within the company, they'll be having the connection to the network of the company, which will be very fast. So this is one big segregation between this. So to the employees who will be entering the data, they'll be usually entering in the high interactivity client, and you want to provide them all the functionality in high interactivity mode. Whereas to the customers, you want to provide it in the standard interactivity mode. at the same time, if your customers are like, let's say, companies or something, for example, for G-Rail, the customers are big people. They are all corporations too. They may be having access to good internet connections. You can think of your customers and think, if you're rolling it out this thing to the end customers, then you will think like this. You'll really think, okay, my end customers, my customers of my users are basically very hi-fi guys. They also use good internet connections, so I can give them high interactivity clients too. Okay, so this is the main difference between the customer application and the employee application. And your thought process is not to always give standard interactivity to customers and high interactivity to employees. You think about it. You think about whether the customers will be having the access to good internet connections or not, because giving high interactivity is very important. Not many people like it. I don't like it. I hate it. Okay. So now we are at Amazon.com. We're going to buy this shoe, and I show you how the various page refreshes occur. Uh-oh. I chose an option, so it is asking me if you need anything else beside it. It didn't come right away on the same page. New page came. Okay, I say no, proceed to checkout please. It now asks me to log on. It is a new page. It could have asked me to do the same thing there, right? Give me a password. It's a new page. I sign in using our secure server. Their secure server. We go there. So what do we see now? Next page. Okay, it has picked the shipping address. If I click on change, I cannot change the shipping address right here on this page. I have to go to a new page. So it takes me to a different page. Oh, entirely different page. Okay, I pick this address. Okay. Payment information. It's picking my default payment information method. Oh, I can change it, but I cannot change it right here. I have to go to another page to do that. So I enter it right here. Then I click continue or something after entering. I'm not going to enter my credit card information right here. So, so then you place your order. If I place your order, this order will get placed. So I will not do that. So new page will come. Confirmation will not come here itself. Okay. So we see many page refreshes here. These are the page refreshes. If you see different information on different page. If you go to Dell.com, at Dell.com, your process has started. It is showing you one type of computer. You choose it. Then it shows you 3 subtypes. Why didn't it show me on the same page itself? Right? Do not do that. I'm on a new page. I click on this one. Then when I eventually buy it, when I'm buying it, oh God, customize it. Then so new pages keep on coming. Look at this. I'm first just choosing the Core Duo processor, then I go to the next component. I hate this. See, 50 pages will come. Did you like? I hate this. It says switch to the list view. I'll go to the list view. Let's see how many see, you get to choose so many things here, but not all the things. So you continue. Then you see so many other things here. Different things now. Then you continue in these. So that's still better. I would like to have only one single page of each and everything, so that I don't have to scroll and wait for all these things. Okay, so eventually you'll place the order like this. These are the multiple page refreshes. On every page there is little information that you enter. Now let's see Siebel. Let's see, you're entering a new order here. Click on new. Order number is already there. Status is there. You can enter the account right here. You don't have to go anywhere else. Just enter it right here. You can enter the contact name right here. Enter the price list right here. You don't have to change anything. But this is for employees. I can afford to give it to employees because they can handle so much data, because they're sitting on a faster connection. Okay, customers may not be sitting on faster connection, so much work gets done right here. Okay, so after that they change the view. They come here to line items. Then they come to line items. Then they enter the products that will be bought. See, they enter the product. They enter the things like this. Keep on entering things like this. Okay. Alright. Okay, you can enter the new plot right here. You don't have to go anywhere else. Making sense? So this is kind of an example, like you can enter, who will be approving it. You don't have to go to another page. You can enter the account information right here, last name, first name right here, currency that people will be using. Unfortunately, you cannot enter the credit card and everything here. I wish I could have shown you some page where the credit card information, everything could be added in the same place. But this is what pretty much high interactivity means. You can enter a lot of information right here, then you save it all together, and it all goes at the same time to the server. Okay. The technical word that we are seeing, narrowband devices, cellular phones and pagers. So there is a broadband, there is a narrowband also. I never knew this word, but there are narrowband devices like cellular phones and pagers. Okay, cellular phones. Okay. As I said, web server, it identifies and passes SQL requests to the SQL server, right? Passes completed HTML application pages back to browser. What does this mean? Really what it means is, this is how all the applications work. There is an engine which knows Hafiz logs in, it goes and checks. That code that checks is different. Then that code says, okay, that code checks it, throws it back to another program, software. And it says yes, he just makes the page for publication, then sends it to the browser. Okay, so the whole heart of the things is written here, where your user ID password is checked. That whole server thing is written here. Only one part of the code is doing the presentation work, right? So the architecture will look something like this again. Okay, so I'm going to use one of the boxes here itself. Right, so this is your client. This client gives you, let's say this is where you are sitting, then this is where server is. Okay, now what happens is some part of the code processes whether your user ID, well, let's say you are asking for emails. It first goes and fetches all the emails and saves it. It knows that these are the emails, this is what has to be shown, then gives it to another part of the code. It just changes it, puts it in the layout, put it in the form of the web layout, and send it back. Okay, so this is how all the things, this is how all these kind of applications work. What you call it, web applications work, and SQL also pretty much works like that. Web server, all the information that it gets from all these various places, which is, as you know, this is the place where the SQL server interacting with the database to get all the information. So they pass all the information to web server. It just composes the web page and throws it back to the internet browser. SQL web server extension, we know that SQL web server extension is that little plugin in the web server which makes web server understand that this is for SQL and pass it on to the SQL. After that, SQL takes care of it. SQL takes care of it, gets the request, processes it back, gives it to SQL web server extension. It gives it to web server, who just changes it into HTML, real outside of SQL world language. From here, SQL thing starts. This one is not your part. This is not your strong part. Even this one will not be. You're not a server administrator, but this one is not even server administrator's job. Somebody else will be doing that. As you can see, SQL has to interact with web server. So SQL server administrators are more specialized in all these things. How to make the softwares interconnect with each other, especially the web softwares and operating systems and so on and so forth. They are not SQL configurators or developers. They are specialized people only for administration of servers. It's a big task. Routes, request to the appropriate SQL server component. What is this request? Let's say customer is requesting for a new cell phone. Is that what this request means? What does this request mean? Just make the same picture. This client, this server, or something like that. Like these clients send some data to the server. When you say send data, this is a request. I am sending data. Please store it. Other requests are, I need this data. So you make a query. That you enter the query right in the client. Then what does client do? Client, the software program, it goes, shoots the query to data to the server. How does that query go? That's what we always think of the discussion between client and server as request and response. We always think about it like that. We always model it like that. Actually, that's the right way to say. So request is in this case
Response.
need data. Need data. In case of query, request is need data. What is the response?
Whatever the reply comes.
Yeah. What is the response, John?
Whatever the reply comes.
You say in your own language, John. For example, now we open google.com. So what was the request from the client to the server? Give me the home page. The response is, we got the home page. Okay, this is the response. He says, this is the home page. He actually gave the home page. Then client showed it. Okay, John, what was the request in this case?
Tester.
Search for the tester.
Search for the tester.
Okay, what was the response?
Search for the tester.
No, that was a request. So what was the response? The results.
Good job.
These are the results for the testers. Is it right? You're with me, I know. You are with me. I know you are able to understand. But it takes some time to call these things something. You will know what to call these guys. Okay? That's fine. You will not be designing this request and response because of the technical architects. What you will be designing? You'll be designing the request and response between the user and the system, not the system within the system. How system interacts with the other parts of it. You will not be designing that. So when you enter data, you are interacting with the system too. Those interactions will be designed by you. Now this we are talking about is how this software talks to the other softwares or other parts of the same software. You will not be designing that, but you should know a little bit. Okay? So this client software talks to the server software. You will not be designing that. That has already been designed by who? Mr. Siebel. You will not be doing that work. This work at least nobody will be doing. I don't see anybody changing these request and response things. Some guys do. Some guys do at big time. Some big companies, they are having some very complicated implementations. Anyway, okay, making sense to you?
Yeah.
So we come back to this one. Various components running. They take various kinds of requests. One guy only does something. Other guy only does something. When the request comes, Siebel server routes it within the company to other people. When the request comes to Avixo services, you might think only Gaurav is the guy, but actually I get the thing done from Bob, from Nidhi, from people like that, right? Right? So similarly, at a big level we say Siebel server is doing everything, but there is request goes to various components. So different kind of requests go to different components. Okay? Stateless connection. Okay? Let's not go into that. Image cache. Not important. Gateway server, name server. Service is a single entity point for accessing enterprise servers. Gateway server is a load balancer. For example, when the request comes, what kind of request comes? Any kind of request to either enter data or to get the data or to put the data, anything. Right? These are all works. Tell me one thing. Let's say you have 5 servers. Let's say you have 5 servers. All have equal capacity. चारों बिल्कुल एक ही साइज के एक ही बंदे समझ लीजिए. चारों एक तरह काम कर सकते हैं. आपको सारे तरह का काम आता है. कभी छोटा कभी बड़ा कभी छोटा. आप क्या करोगे? सारा बंदों को असाइन एक किस तरह से असाइन करोगे?
Assign different duties to different servers.
See, these are 4 people that you have. ठीक है? ये 4 बंदे हैं आपके पास. ठीक है?
Randomly.
Yeah, very good. John, what do you think about this? ये 4 बंदे हैं आपके. काम जो आ रहे हैं, कोई ये छोटा सा आ रहा है, कोई बड़ा आ रहा है, कोई बहुत बड़ा आ रहा है. So how will you assign your work? You will assign randomly, but you know, right? Sometimes this guy will be overoccupied, sometimes this guy will not be overoccupied.
Yeah.
Right? This will happen. What is the best way?
If somebody is overoccupied, don't give it to him, give it to somebody else.
That's very best time. Right? So when your work comes, you gauge it, how much big it is. If it is a big work, You give it to the person who is most free. It's small work, so you maintain all this. So what do you call it? Balancing the work. You will have to balance the work, right? या आप आपके घर में कोई भी काम आता है आप अपनी वाइफ को दे देते हो चलो जी आप ही करो सारा. No, right? You balance it out. If the things are more appropriate, there is nothing like things are more appropriate. As I said, in this case, all servers are same. So
Division of labor.
Division of labor. So state gateway server does the division of labor, okay, and it routes the request according to the loads. Okay, whosoever is doing more work, he gives it less work. Okay, that's the only thing it does. Okay. जो different server components होते हैं ये किस तरह से काम करते हैं? See, some components are only for importing and exporting data. There is one component only for access to the file system. What you can do is if you turn off that component, rest of the Siebel will work. Only attachments will not work. If you turn off this component, then import and export will not work. Rest of the things will work. Okay, this is how these components work. Processing of client requests. All the client requests come to a simple component, one particular component. Okay. Integration with CTA middleware. There is one special component which is just for CTA middleware integration. So there are components for each and every kind of task, different tasks. And once you enable that component, only then those kind of things can be done. Just to let you know, processing of client requests is kind of one server component. There are other things that data server is supposed to do, not just the client request. The requests are coming from other softwares also. Right? I told you, right? Some systems, other systems, programs running in the company, they request Siebel for the data also. When those requests come, they also get through Siebel. Those requests are handled by different components. Okay. So if tomorrow you will never be using that. If tomorrow you guys on the project and your project is related to something related to server component, at that time I just want to use this as a base, so I can tell you. Okay. But in general, nobody is ever going to ask you what is a server component and how does it work. This will never be your job. Okay. Database server stores Siebel data within a predefined database schema on a third-party relational database management system. I think I told you that whole of the database schema, what all tables, what all columns, how they will be related, is all delivered by Oracle or Siebel. I'm asking, Oracle or Siebel?
Oracle.
Oracle.
All the tables and columns and their definitions.
Oh, Siebel.
What does Oracle deliver?
Storage.
Tables and columns storage. What does Oracle?
What's that?
Tables and columns storage. So what does Oracle deliver?
Functionality.
Functionality is delivered by Siebel, of course. Okay.
No, it's designed by Oracle. Designed by Siebel. Tables. But they are stored in Oracle.
Yes. It's pretty much like real estate. I said, I gave you an example of land. You don't need to know that much, but still, it's like a land. You build a little structure on top of it, like foundation. So that foundation will really work towards building the whole building. So, but without land, you cannot build the foundation. So Oracle is pretty much like the land. It's kind of hard to understand, but still, those tables and columns, when you ask the tables and columns, I want this data, then Oracle comes into picture and basically takes the data from tables and columns and give it to you. But that's fine. It's not a big deal. So I want to make sure that you understand that database schema means database schema. This word means
What is the meaning of schema?
Exactly. The structure, the tables and columns. How do tables and columns are related? How various tables, what all columns are in a table? What are the definitions of columns? All this is the schema. Write all this. That is the kind of the definition of schema. Okay, but all this is delivered by Siebel. Okay, and but we need some land. So we
It's
land,
storing, or
to put these tables and columns. These tables and columns you make it on land. That land is by Oracle or by SQL Server or by
DB4,
DB2.
DB2.
Perfect. And you support SQL Server and client access through native SQL. What is native SQL? All these Oracle and everybody, you can access their data directly through SQL also. So how does client access the data? It makes a SQL. When you ask query Martina, it basically generates a big SQL. Select star from where, gives it to Oracle. Oracle gets the data, gives it back. Okay. Accessed by data manager, that's fine. Native SQL. Native SQL means Oracle has its own SQL, SQL Server has its own SQL, DB has its own SQL. Their syntax are a little bit different, always. Little bit. SQL knows that syntax. SQL does that work for you. When you ask for the data, SQL makes the SQL Server SQL statement for you, gets the data and passes it back to you. Okay? Yeah, one of the anyway, I just want to make sure you understand the things. That's why I try to give you, certain examples from various walks of life so that you can internalize things. और कुछ reason नहीं है. Okay, that's the only thing. I'm just trying to make you internalize these things so that you know अच्छा SQL generate होता है. Okay, this is a native SQL. That's it. Okay. You go through this logical server architecture. It's very simple. Same things जो मैंने बताई हैं बार-बार दोबारा बता रहा है. That's it. Physical architecture. Not important. So not simple, but not important. Yeah. See, it becomes a big deal. How to install various softwares and how to make it interact with the other applications within the company's environment. So this is a very specialized task. Server administrators do it very well, but you guys will not be doing that. I've just given you some idea about this so that you guys don't look totally in the dark when somebody is discussing these things. Okay, so you can hear this chapter again and again to understand what it means. Okay.